Live. Welcome everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is John Freeman, and I'm going to be hosting tonight. If this is your first time, Product People, every week we host an event where we have product leaders in the community come and give a presentation on a topic of their choice to help share knowledge. That's one of our goals as an organization, is to share knowledge generously such that persons such as yourself can learn about best practices, and we can engage with our community in a way that helps benefit us all and help the product community build better products. Really, that's kind of the goal of this, right? Oh, there we go. Tap along, and that's me. I'm John Freeman. I'm new to Product People, but I've been in product management for a few years now. Project and product management experience about 5 years. Most of that with a company called EcoATM doing automated retail, but I've also spent some time, playing with medical stuff, and as of late, been in the hospitality industry through Product People. I'm a UCLA MBA from California originally, but currently living in Germany. That's a bit about me. And I'm happy to connect with anybody on LinkedIn. If you want to discuss anything in the product world or learn more about Product People, you're welcome to reach out to me directly. And I'm happy to send my LinkedIn address out to the group as we're having this chat. All right. And so today we have Janan Guillaume. She's going to be giving us a fantastic talk on getting to product-led, her experience thus far. Going with this topic, I'm not going to speak too much about and steal your thunder, but just this is the topic of the day, something that I think all of us should be interested in as we're transitioning our organizations towards more product-led organizations. So I'm pretty excited about it and looking forward to hearing her speak. But before we do that, I want to give you a little bit more information about Product People, who we are and what we do. You are participating currently in the community aspect of Product People. We are, again, doing our best to provide educational resources and provide community events such as this to help engage the product community, but also to help us all get better as we learn from each other. That's one of our missions. But what we also do in our day-to-day practice, we are interim product managers. What does that mean exactly? Interim product managers, if you're ever in a situation when your company is in between product managers, be that because somebody is on parental leave and they'll be away for a significant period of time, or be that because the country in which you're operating has some regulatory challenges that make it difficult to transition from product person A to product person B, and you find yourself with a multi-month gap where you feel like you need a new product person to continue to keep the train moving, but you're not in a position to necessarily have a new direct person working for the organization at that stage. We come in and we fill in that gap and ensure that everything that you need to do in order to ensure that your product is improving, that we're there to help and we're there to provide that service. And just to clear this up, we're not freelancers. We're product as a service. You're not just hiring one of us, you're hiring several of us to help tackle your problem. So if something does occur, if I'm on your case and I get sick, we have people to back up and ensure that the train keeps moving. Now, with that being said, we have a couple of questions that we'd like to ask before the presentation, getting to know you. So whichever platform that you're currently watching this presentation on, feel free to submit your answer there. But how many people on the call are in a product department that is new to their company? How many of you would say that you are working in agile product management? And on what industries are you currently focused? I'll give just a couple of moments for everybody to answer the questions. Okay, we'll give about 30 more seconds or so and close the polls. What do you say, Leo? Let me know when you're ready. Okay, and the numbers are in. So, how many people on the call are working in a product department that is new to their company? We say about 1 to 2. How many would you say are working in an agile product management environment? 5 or more. And on what industry are you focused? We've got a pretty good split between healthcare, construction, and the vast majority are laying in the other realm. We've got a lot of others out there. I consider myself to be an other as well. All right, thank you for that. We're going to now move forward. So again, today is Janan Guillaume. She has a storied history of product management, working with some fantastic organizations, the latest of which is ToolWatch, that provides software as a service platform to help construction organizations monitor their tools and ensure that, the construction, just like product people helps ensure that your product keeps moving forward, they help ensure that your tractors and so on keep moving forward. And forgive me if I'm misspeaking here and downplaying the importance, but we appreciate you being here. We're really excited about this topic. And with that, I'm going to stop sharing my screen. I'm going to let you take it away.
Great. Thank you so much, John. It's really wonderful to be here. I met product people, and I'm just going to share my screen now so I can get this up and running. Can you see my presentation, the first slide? Great, awesome. So I, I'm kind of going to walk through today what I mean by product led. But first, I just want to say thank you to product people. I met Victoria at Product Management Festival in Zurich last year. And if you're new to this organization, John just walked us through what they do and what they provide. And it's a really incredible organization. They do a lot of really interesting things, and really it's a wonderful kind of display of how do you solve a real problem, right? So rather than coming up with a solution, what's the problem and how do we solve for it? So it's a great organization. And for me, any opportunity to speak to fellow product people, fellow technical and engineering people really is a learning opportunity for me too. So I'll take you through my story, talk about how I define product led, talk about, what is product's place in an organization? Do we really even know how to answer that? And then the really important relationship between engineering, product, and how really to move forward for the success of your product, the value that you bring to a market and your customers. So let me see if I can get my slides moving here. So I did not take kind of a short and straight and narrow path, I should say, that brought me to where I am today. I actually started out with a degree in art history. I worked for a couple of nonprofit organizations. I then got lured into, it wasn't hard to lure me into it, but I got lured into involvement with some technology startups. And this was back in the late 1990s when that was the really cool and exciting thing to do. And it was, it was incredibly exciting. We did a company where we sold bicycles that we imported from Holland over the web. So it was like an e-commerce company. It was really fun. We also did a startup where we would do press releases for the music industry. And so you could be all over the world and you needed liner notes and press releases for a new album you were releasing. And we'd find a person that wrote in your language and wrote well and would put all of that together for you. And we got to launch at a conference in the south of France. And, it was an exciting whirlwind time, but really it was a kind of a formative time for me in understanding where my passions were and where I really wanted to go with my career. I did take kind of a detour in being a a music producer's assistant for a while, which was a lot of fun. I was a technology and communications consultant for a while as well, and really helped people understand, how do I take advantage of some of the new products that were being released into the world to better engage people and communicate vision and things like that. I also did a little stint as a content marketer in the healthcare industry, was technical product manager in construction, healthcare, and government. Continued on in construction. So I know there were a few of us in the construction industry on the call today. So it would be great to connect and learn more about what you're up to. And then worked also in healthcare and IoT as an AI product manager. And that's actually what I spoke about at the conference in Zurich when I met Victoria. But today, here I am as the Vice President of Product for ToolWatch, and I'll go into a little bit about what we do. We're a SaaS platform, and it's really about supporting lean construction principles. So reducing loss, making job sites safer, making sure that there's cross collaboration and clear communication, and really just working towards elimination of waste on projects. And in the construction world, there is a lot of that. So we're really, focused on how do we quickly get to more visibility, more alignment, and more accountability to facilitate safer work environments and more cost-effective work environments as well. So it's a really exciting industry. I love the construction industry. It's a challenging one for sure, and but it's so ripe for technology adoption. So there's a lot of innovation in the industry. So so moving on to kind of the core of my presentation, what do I mean when I say product-led? So I'm really defining this as an organization has made the decision to change how it operates. It's decided it's going to invest in its resources and how it expects to gain traction in an industry and grow its customer base by moving away from kind of project execution to product delivery. Right. So this is sort of an awareness of the importance of cross-functional collaboration, the power of product thinking, and the importance of funding not just the development of features, but the development of the concepts and ideas that deliver the impact an organization really wants in an industry, the disruption that we all seek, right? And when I talk about the power of product thinking, this is the fundamental aspect of that, really, that awareness that an organization has when they decide this is where we're going to go, includes the understanding of that role itself. The people in those roles that are diving deep into a market, their responsibility to really understand that market, to inform both the strategy and the outcomes of a business, and doing that through an ownership and management of a product's life cycle. And that life cycle may look different depending on what organization you're in and how you've decided to work. But really, as a whole, as a company, they've decided this is what's going to get us where we want to go, leveraging the power of product thinking. We know that the product mindset can help us avoid becoming what some have termed a feature factory. I have absolutely in my career felt like I am in a feature factory. We probably all have at one point in time where it's just feeling like we're not quite sure that we're aligning with the right pain points. There isn't really a good go-to-market or a go-to-market at all. And there's thinking that's disconnected from the real pain points that need to be addressed, the real customer base, and then really thinking about how does that map into an organizational strategy? Why are we doing this? And where do we get ourselves at the end of the day by doing this? So if we look at the evolution of product management as part of how an organization structures itself and gets its work done, a lot of it seems to have grown out of this kind of keen awareness of the waste being project focused, feature delivery focused, and in the opportunity that a continuous delivery mindset affords, right? One is always listening to customers, to the market, and is able to change and evolve because of what they're learning. It's not easy to do, but I think this is again going back to sort of the power of product management. So if we know that the focus and responsibilities of product is important to the outcomes and delivering value, what is product's place in the structure of an organization? And this is kind of this was the original trigger for the idea that I had for, coming in and speaking to you today, because it's been top of mind for me in a lot of the roles that I've had. There have been a lot of back and forth around that. So if we take a quick look at it just from an org chart perspective, I'm going to give you two examples, and they're maybe more typical for larger organizations, but even small organizations will have same or similar departments or individuals responsible for all the moving parts, right? So in example A, it's a very flat structure. You have everybody kind of in their own department working autonomously, including product. Product sits itself reporting up into leadership or as part of the leadership team. And then in example B, you've got product reporting into engineering. And in my experience, this is often where you end up when you have an organization that is really led by engineering or by someone who the person who came up with the idea and started the company is the primary architect and an engineer. It's a subtle difference, but it can be powerful. Some may argue that the only right way to structure product in an organization is to have it on its own, right? That's the only way you're going to really build off of what leveraging that product power, the power of product thinking, and really get the organization bought in, right? Because you've made that decision. And so a controversial statement maybe, and one that I would love some feedback on, is maybe it shouldn't matter, right? Does it matter at the end of the day if an organization supports product and there is autonomy, that we'll still get where we want to go? Does it matter who's reporting to whom? And does it have to be based on departments or responsibilities, or is it about aligning the right people up and the right, again, that the right autonomy and the right process? So it's kind of a question I wanted to pose and get some feedback on. In reality, everyone in an organization is a value generator. Everyone is bringing forth insights from the market, from an industry perspective, and the voice of the customer. Marketing is doing that by being in tune with what energizes target audiences. Sales and customer success do that by bringing their one-on-one conversations with customers and prospects back to the organization. UX design, research center us on that clear data and guidance on delivering meaningful experiences. And operations and support communicate pain points and frustrations of being not only the user of a product, but also the customer of an organization, right? All those things feed into whether or not you're going to be able to grow your business. And let's take a look specifically at the relationship between engineering and product. And for me, this relationship is where a lot of the magic happens. It's where we're bridging that gap between what and why with the how, and creating that value and differentiation that we're after. It can be at times a tricky relationship, right? So how do we get through some of the friction and operate more efficiently in delivering value? I believe first and foremost, we have to challenge some of the perspectives we have across engineering and product. And these are just a few examples that I have. So on the engineering side, we're wasting time in too many meetings. Why do we have to have another meeting about it? And from the product's perspective, maybe you're thinking, we're not getting through why we're building this feature. We need more time with engineering. On the engineering side, documentation just isn't important. Just tell me what you want, we'll build it. Stop spending your time writing and tell me what you want, and let's start building. On the product side, well, if we don't have documentation, how do we support the feature when it's built? How do we get to market with the feature, right? So the balance between those artifacts that we think are important in the engineering perspective. And then this is one I've run into a lot too, is this was, insert founder's name idea. Why is product challenging it or changing it? Let's just do what we thought we were going to do from the beginning. And on the product side, hey, this idea isn't aligned with where we are today. We need to rethink it, right? And that's okay. How do we get that across to our engineers and to building out that relationship in a positive way? So these are some keys to success, I think, in addressing those challenges, primarily from an engineering perspective, but also from the larger organization perspective, right? First and foremost, never forget to put the strategy first. Make sure that that vision is really clear and everyone understands it, and over communicate the why. Make everything measurable. So don't just talk about it, but show how you're actually acting and sort of holding yourselves accountable for it as well, right? Get to know the people and their skills, build those relationships. In the engineering department, everybody brings a really important perspective and experience to, again, how you're going to get something done and what the trade-offs are. And understanding those technical trade-offs can help you have more effective conversations. So get to know your product. How is it built? What are the nuts and bolts? Know where obviously you're getting outside of your comfort zone and outside of what you are responsible for, but an understanding of the architecture and understanding of the systems that are in place can help you understand those trade-offs and have more effective conversations with your engineers. And then using artifacts like a product requirements document to support a process can help. And on my team right now, we're going through a lot of evolution around what our artifacts look like. We're trying one-pagers, we're trying just straight up vision boards just to kind of map out the value and the requirements. We're doing taking a page out of I think it was Amazon originally that came up with the PRFAQ, but finding different ways and exploring all the different kind of methodologies and templates and things to find the right fit. What's working, what's resonating with the engineers that I have to communicate this to, and giving the people, the ability to succeed, right? Just giving them, everybody, an understanding of how they inform and make what we're trying to do possible, and the clarity they need to be able to get there together. From a process standpoint, again, really establishing a product development process that makes sense for the organization. I've never worked in a place where it was exactly the same. It's been different every single time, and it's evolved every single time, right? And a lot of that comes out of that collaboration with engineering. How and when do they participate? Don't make it we're going to hand over requirements and walk away and expect that you're going to build what we asked you to build, right? That's one of the reasons why we asked the question in the beginning about agile. How are we leveraging those ceremonies if we're in an agile environment to give people a format for participating, for understanding, and for evolving their thinking. We may run into things along the way that force us to change what we thought we were going to do or how we thought we were going to do it. So engineering needs a chance to be part of that process. And then again, just aligning those performance metrics to organizational outcomes. So making sense of, what I'm being held accountable for my own performance and how that's delivering outcomes to our organization, how my role and my relationships and my job and how I get my job done are adding value to the organization and our customers. So how do you get buy-in with engineering and all this, things that seem to work well? If you think about it from an outcome, at the end of the day, you've got a great relationship with engineering. They value the relationship they have with product and look to product for the prioritization. There's trust, and engineering's not rewriting requirements. So I don't know if you've been in this situation before, but I have, where we will give, requirements to engineering, and they decide that's not what that we need to do for our customers, and they rewrite it and try something else. It happens, and it's okay. Everybody's really invested in that product, but if you can rise above that and generate that trust and get everybody on the same page, you can work faster and smarter, right? So product must show engineering, the voice of the customer, that they really understand the role of engineering in the success of delivering a product. You've got to respect all the teams around you, and engineering is a huge part of that. And that there is a way to collaborate. Again, give them a chance to have a voice, and to be part of that conversation. And organizationally, you need your leadership team to be bought in too. So, because at the end of the day, this is where you're going to get the autonomy that you need. This is where you're going to get the funding that you need. So how do you do that? If the outcome is executives have, under a great understanding of the value and power of product management, they're free to focus on the strategy, on the health of the business. They're out of the weeds, right? They're not sitting with you in all of your requirements sessions and digging down into the devil in the details, because they're feeling good about, rising above and out of that deep dive, and being where they should be as executives or leaders in a company, looking out to the future and looking at the much bigger picture, right? So product, to get there, you want to show innovation in your ideas for their products. So show that you're always thinking about new things, new technology that you can leverage. You're seeing the evolution of workflows in your customers, and you're seeing ways to leverage that understanding and innovation in your product. Your awareness and insight into the competition and the innovation that's happening outside of your organization is a huge thing to bring to an executive team, right? If they're thinking about the big picture and you're bringing to them new market insights, new companies that were just bought and sold or just launched into the world, you're showing them that you've got your pulse on what's happening out in the world, and that's going to inform the decisions that you make. Obviously, the data that exposes how product management is delivering business outcomes. So are you getting your work done, but then also, are you getting adoption in what you're getting done? Are you getting sales getting what they need, and marketing getting what they need, et cetera? And just that strength and execution and building those key relationships in support of that. Back to that side around everybody's delivering value, right? So how do we generate, as product people, those key relationships so we can continue to execute and build our business? And finally, this is it. This is my last slide, and my last just kind of thought is that this takes a lot of time. I referenced a couple of points along the way that we're constantly rethinking process, our product development process, our artifacts, rethinking how we work with each other across different roles and responsibilities. And to me, and I feel it in some ways that it's my responsibility as somebody who has a team, to constantly challenge those preconceived notions or those artifacts or the reason for having a document or the reason for having a meeting, so that we are really in front of when we need to change and when things aren't working, and just, bringing everybody along for the ride. So that's my talk for today. And I'd love some feedback and any questions that you have. And certainly to the point of, like, does it matter where product reports into in an organization? I think is maybe a controversial one, but it's always a topic of conversation for me, for sure.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I'm
Thank
going to
you.
take over sharing the screen again. Just one moment. There we are. Oh, that doesn't look right. Okay, where is my screen here? Apologies, everybody. Some technical difficulties. One moment. But as we're doing so, as Janan just stated, that we were definitely looking forward to hearing some of your thoughts. And we're going to do some Q&A. So as I'm getting this loaded, I'm not sure what's going on with my computer. Apologies, everybody. But as I'm getting this loaded, we'd love to have your questions being sent into the chat, whichever platform that you are currently using. Please feel free to put your questions in there. And specifically, if you have comments as well or questions regarding what Janan just referenced is where does product actually fit within the organization? Does that matter? What kind of impact has that had on you and your ability to deliver great products? Is definitely something of interest and helps us with this topic. So again, apologies. I see it on my screen now. Hopefully if I click over, it doesn't disappear again. I'm new to the MacBook world, so apologies everybody as we get this going.
But welcome to the MacBook world. It's a good world.
Yeah, no, I've been a Windows PC person most of my life, and then I switched to product people, and I can't find, every time I click on the presentation, it disappears. So a little different. Okay, so what if I do this? There we go, and then try this. That should work. Okay. Technical difficulties, apologies everybody. So sharing the screen. So as those questions are coming in, there we are. Now we can see it. Everybody see the screen?
Yes.
Okay, that was fun. Thank you for bearing with me. As those questions are coming in, just want to remind everybody who product people are and cases in which you might want to engage with us. Again, we are interim and fractional product managers. We're not freelancers. What this means is we provide product management as a service. If you're in a situation where there is a significant gap, anywhere from 3 months to a year and a half sometimes, where you do not have the ability to fill a product role, either because you're holding that position for somebody who's currently on parental leave, or because there is some period that you have to wait because of regulatory issues in your country. I know in Germany, it can be quite the challenge to, you have to offboard somebody for several months, might take several months to bring somebody on. During that period, we come in and we provide product management as a service, and we fill that gap to ensure that the train keeps rolling, that everything is happening to ensure that your product is being developed in a productive way. We also provide product coaching and consultation. We have some senior product people within the product people organization that are happy to come in and share best practices and help your organization get to that next level and become a well-defined and well-refined product machine, so to speak. And that includes, and also part of our services is doing that product discovery, helping you get from 0 to 1. What we're not doing, we're not recruiters, not a freelance marketplace. Again, it's product management as a service. So if we're not going to be walking away from you in the middle of an engagement. If something happens with one of our internal persons, we have a team that is actually supporting you, making sure that we're not skipping any beats here. You're going to continue to get your products delivered faster. And we're not a development or design agency. We will work with designers, but that's not our forte. We are true product managers. A couple of clients that we've worked with, some that you may have recognized, and some B2B clients as well. Gotten plenty of positive feedback. We got a lot of product managers on board. We all look great. We take beautiful pictures, and we're hiring. So Leo, if you wouldn't mind sending that link out to the group, as well as links to my LinkedIn and any Get Product People pages. In the event that you want to communicate with us, you want to engage with us, you're curious about working with product people or using us for our services, we're happy to communicate with you in that regard. So with that all being said, it looks like some of the questions are rolling in. Okay. All right. So the first question, this is from LinkedIn. This is from Gitaran Arul. Apologies if I mispronounced your name. What, according to you, has changed since 1990 to date with respect to product-led organizations? And for example, are organizations today more in the growth mindset phase?
Mm-hmm. That's a good question. I mean, in the 1990s, it was, I think the difference is it's more kind of formalized, I guess. We're less, I don't really want to put it this way, but kind of flying by the seat of our pants, like just out there, great ideas, actioning the ideas, and very quickly trying to, as fast as we can, build a customer base. So the back then there wasn't really as much kind of practice of product management as there is today. There certainly weren't as many thought leaders or as much community around product management. But in some ways it's similar because we're all kind of in that growth stage, right? Like if we think about the business continuity life cycle, and you start out and then you go into growth and then to maturity, and then you're sort of end of lifing your product or moving on to the next thing. I feel like most of us are very keenly focused on growth and wanting to get to maturity, but understanding that we're not quite there yet, right? So very similar, but maybe we have a little bit more of awareness, self-awareness than we had before. And certainly we have a lot more resourcing, a lot more ways to leverage what we've kind of put definition to it, right? We understand what it means to be product-led, what product thinking is. We have product development processes, things like this that I think really have emerged since then that we may have been doing at the time, but didn't really put a definition or a practice around it. So maybe in that sense, we're maturing, but we're certainly still very much in that growth focused on growth stage. Which one more thought about that is sometimes the tension between feature factory and delivering value and outcomes, because in the growth phase you want to execute, and sometimes that can get in the way from you being really focused on what really matters and just getting stuff out the door, right? So it's kind of our responsibility to challenge that and make sure that we don't do that.
Awesome. Thank you for that answer. So we have, got a quick comment actually from Christina from YouTube, saying, wow, you've just explained what I found my very first PM experience. I thought that at the time that it was all my fault. Of course it matters, in reference to whether or not the product is product-led or where product fits into the organization.
Yeah.
I mean,
I kind of asked the question to poke at it a little bit. I think most people would agree that it is, but I've certainly been in organizations where it isn't. So it can be in your career, you're probably going to run into it. And so how do we work in that organizational structure and still succeed? I think is a good thing to think about.
Yeah. I have another comment from YouTube. This is Zayed Mohammed. In my opinion, compared to the 90s, now product development is heavily focused on customer and user feedback and smaller iterations. In the 90s, it was mostly visionary, management-led, and bigger iterations. Yeah,
that's a great point. So when I've mentioned the bicycle company, so we had this person that brought me on board, right? He's the one that sort of introduced me to startup land and technology. And he was just a visionary, right? I mean, he just was big idea person. and had these big ideas and just put all of his energy into getting that idea out the door. And I do agree that it was less about, is this idea having an impact? Do we need to iterate and change? It was all really big, broad strokes. Get the company up and running, get the, domain name, get the big, signs on the side of your car, and, all those kind of big, broad brush strokes. And I do agree with that statement, that's a good distinction between kind of where we were excited, and I think a lot of people had these big ideas, and now we've evolved a bit, right? And said, okay, still have the big ideas and the wonderful thinking, but to really make a impactful, meaningful business that's going to grow, you need to put some iteration around it, some structure, and listen to your customers.
Very cool.
Great point.
So, we talked about, visionaries with the big idea. You had mentioned the founder before, and the founder challenge, so to speak, when the founder has a fantastic idea, or they think they have the best idea. I know I've dealt with the hippo problem, the highest paid person's opinion. And you gave some great strategies for combating this. I'd be curious to hear, do you have a specific example of when you've been faced with a scenario in which a person above you, an authority in the organization, was demanding that we went a specific direction with development, but it was counter to the strategy, and how did you combat that?
So yes, I feel like a lot. I have a lot of specific examples, but really mostly what has worked. So in one example, the chief technology officer of one of the companies I worked for was sort of completely convinced that we needed to redo a process that we had for delivering one of our products. And this mindset really put everyone kind of on edge, because it meant that we weren't going to be able to get much of anything else done, because it was going to be this major undertaking. So it not only kind of went against our commitment to delivering to our customers, but our ability to go fast and iterate and move quickly, right? Because the way that this project was being defined was really like a big project, and it wasn't really product thinking led. So in that case, it was, getting a lot of data from that showed the impact of putting all of these other things aside and having to focus on that. And that was a big part of the conversation. And it was also just about getting in a room and having those kind of direct one-on-ones, building those relationships and discussing trade-offs. So finding a new way. And at the end of the day, we found a new way. It wasn't the perfect situation in the least, but it was, there were a lot of trade-offs made, and in the end we were still able to continue to deliver some really key things we had already promised our customer base, and wanted to continue to deliver. So negotiation, but certainly bringing those data points and really exposing the impact of making that decision on the rest of the company and the customers themselves.
Awesome. Thank you for that answer.
Yeah.
We've got a question from Janik. You said you've learned the two sides in your career, engineering-led and product-led. Which company was more successful in your opinion?
In my opinion, it's been product-led companies. I think I should say product-led companies where there's a strong collaboration with engineering, where engineering is again bought on to the opportunity that having that product thinking kind of lead decision making, lead prioritization is what's going to get us the best outcomes, and what's going to let the engineers focus on the things they should be focused on, and where they're going to make the strongest impact, and letting product do the same. So I've been in an organization that evolved from engineering led to product led, and the difference was pretty incredible. The growth of the organization and the culture, the people involved in all of the day-to-day and getting stuff out the door, designing and collaborating. It just became a much more dynamic culture, and we had a lot of success from that. So, but again, it was that deliberate shift in making that move. So.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I've got a question. So, we started going down the path that product-led organizations, everybody has an impact, right? Every piece of that puzzle it potentially has the ability to grow the product in some way. And I know there's been a lot of talk about growth loops, and using the product itself to actually grow the product and using that as a means of driving marketing, for example, as opposed to marketing driving the product drives marketing. Could you touch on your experience thus far in bringing in other parts of the organization such that they recognize their role in driving that product growth and that opportunity, and how that all intersects?
Mm-hmm. So when I started at ToolWatch, it was a new product team to the organization. So I was brand new, and then pretty much everybody on my team was brand new to the organization. So the way that I handled it at ToolWatch is I did essentially a roadshow. The first thing was just about education and communication. So how do we work together between areas like support and product, or marketing and product, or sales and product? And then why is that important? What is the impact to decisions that are made about the product and the direction of the product, as well as our ability to develop really clear go-to-market strategies that we all will play a role in. And so first and foremost, it was just around communication and education, and getting that infused across all the different departments, and keeping that up. Like I said in my last slide, it takes time. So it wasn't just a one and done deal. You've got to maintain those relationships, but also understanding if my team is going to come up with a concept for a new feature for the product, let's say, or even a new product line, at what point do we involve anyone, anywhere from the support team down to the sales team? At what point is their involvement important in informing how that is evolved? And then how does that voice of the customer also become part of making decisions on what a product is going to bring into the market? So it's making decisions on at what point are we going to have those conversations, and how does each department actually impact a product's ability to help grow a business?
Great. Awesome. So we got a little bit more time, so I've got two more questions for you.
All right.
First question is, you've transitioned in your career from individual contributor to a product leader, and now into the role of a VP product, a more senior level position. If you wouldn't mind telling the group, as you've made that transition, what are some of the key skills that you honed in on that helped you graduate, so to speak, and progress your career to the position that you're in today?
Yeah, I think most importantly, it's again, I guess back to that relationship building, being able to give everybody around me an understanding of, even as an individual contributor, an understanding of how important each person is to the success of the culture of an organization, as well as the output of that organization into a market. And so I think just being able to continually keep that kind of at the forefront of how I go about my day-to-day, that even as an individual contributor, I'm part of an ecosystem, and I'm part of everyone else's success. So if I'm not succeeding, then they aren't succeeding. And if people don't understand clarity on roles and responsibilities, it's kind of going to be messy, right? And so being able to do that and generate the right level of relationship and help to inform the business strategy and the outcomes along the way certainly has helped me move in my career to where I am today. And I know I've got a long way to go still. I also am constantly challenging myself to get better and learn and grow. But the most important thing to me is that the people around me are successful and that we deliver what our customers need from us. And so I think, kind of simply put, that's keeping that at the forefront has really helped me go a long way. And I always tell people product are the truth tellers. So not being afraid to stand up for what I think is right based on the data, based on what I know about the market or our customers, based on what I know about technology, just standing up for what's right and bringing that with me, and not being afraid to challenge people when I'm not sure that they are looking at the right things. So hopefully that helps. I've also had an amazing, the great thing about product management is this community is so strong and so amazing. And I've had so many wonderful mentors and people around me. So it's a great community where anyone can succeed.
Thank you. I see we do have a couple more questions that just popped up. So before we go, so instead of me stealing the time and asking my next question, I'm handing a call over to Janik. Yes, have you had experience with OKRs? And if so, do you have any experience in how to use this method to get a more product-led company?
Yes. So we have tried in 2 of my past lives. We have tried to do OKRs and they failed miserably. I did not get very involved in making them work. In all honesty, I would love to, because I don't know, I feel like I've read a lot about them. I know people who have worked in environments where OKRs really worked really well. I'm not the expert on it, but if you have had great experience with it, or have any insights to share, let me know, because I do think that an important part of organizational success is aligning people to objectives and outcomes, right? So, everybody's sort of moving in the same direction, but with different, baseline metrics, but essentially we're all, rowing in the same boat. So let's get going together. So I think it's a great concept and a great format, but I unfortunately haven't seen it succeed or take off, I should say.
We share that experience, unfortunately.
Yeah.
All right, last question of the night, and that comes from Giri. There are many bifurcations in the product manager role today, like technical product manager, product owner, and functional product manager, business analysis, and so on. Yeah. Any suggestions on how to fix this?
Well, what I do and have done with my teams in the last few roles that I've been in is had product managers and product managers and product owners. And this is how I define them. And to me, this works great. It's product manager is looking out into the market, the customer, responsible for those business relationships, aligning to the strategy and the outcomes, and accountable for that. Product owners are looking into the organization. They're the bridge between that vision, those customers, the market, down into engineering and stakeholder management. And so the product owner takes like a product requirements document or a vision board and translates that into actionable work. So they're much closer to the engineering team. And that kind of skill set. One of my product owners was a business analyst and came over into this role. So it's sort of like, to me, it's been a great way to simplify those roles and responsibilities and break up the, kind of divvy up the workload, to give everybody both a better balance of a workload, because there's a lot of work in product, but also a clearer kind of relationship and handoff point, so that there is clarity. And who do you go to when you need to know what's important to the company versus who do you go to understand where are we in delivering that to our customers. So that's how I've addressed it. And I've also, product owners have been called technical product managers in a previous role, but it's the same exact responsibility, just a different title. So that's how I do it, and I like it.
Awesome. And I think with that, that's the end of our presentation for the night. I want to thank you again. That was a great presentation. I know I learned a lot, and I hope the audience feels the same. I think we're happy to have you, and we're again grateful for you to come in and share your knowledge with us and help the product people community grow as product leaders ourselves. And for the audience, thank you again for your time. If you want to connect with me or learn more about product people, I'm sending the links again right now to the chat. And again, we're acting at not only as facilitators of knowledge and passing on this knowledge to the community, but we do act as interim product managers and provide consultative services. So if anybody's interested, feel free to go to our LinkedIn page, our website, or if you want to talk to me directly, I'm more than happy to facilitate that conversation and talk product. So with that, we're going to stop the recording, and thank you all again so much. Have a wonderful night.